going to Dr. Paul Craig Roberts to talk about the economy, the collapse of this nation that is now accelerating, and we're almost past the point of no return, according to his analysis and many others that I respect, according, of course, to my own breakdown of history and understanding, and war with Iran. Bolton said yesterday 8 days. People said, well, wait a minute, that's only 4 days until the 21st when they load the fuel into the reactors at Bashir. Now he's in the Jerusalem Post saying, yes, he meant 3 days. So he says we must strike them now. So we'll talk about that with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. The reason I got him on hurriedly, 2 weeks ago, Drudge Report linked to, and then it was carried in literally thousands of websites, his article about the collapse of the United States in 2017. And he's written a new one called The-Ecstasy-of-Empire, where he talks about the fact that if there isn't a revolution in this country, we're history. And I wanted to get his take on what type of revolution is he specifically talking about with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. We're going to him in just a moment, because, again, this article is getting a lot of attention. And I never saw his columns previously posted at the Drudge Report. I'm glad the Drudge Report is now linking over to those because they're so important. Of course, he formerly wrote and was an editor for the Wall Street Journal. But I wanted to first, for listeners tuning in, remind you, we're not funded by the Fortune 500. We're not funded by the government. We're not funded by anybody but you that support our sponsors and that buy the books, the videos, the T-shirts, the ball caps, the bumper stickers, the Infowars.com ballpoint pens. And everything we've got is discounted to the lowest level we can so you can get them in bulk and give them to people. Folks are ready to be awakened. My film, The Obama Deception, seen more than 25 million times for free online. If we're going to make future films, you need to buy the high-quality original DVD with expanded extras. Make copies, get it out to folks. We need that seed funding. Other films we carry, like The Secret of Oz, Solutions for a Broken Economy by director Bill Still, the maker of Money Masters. Such an important film, discounted at Infowars.com. Global Warming, Emerging Science and Understanding by Dr. Michael Kaufman. Excellent information. We've also got Fall the Republic, Part 2 of the Obama Deception. Buy 1 copy of this. This special ends next Monday. Get 3 copies free. Buy 1, get 3 free. Buy 2, get 8 free. That's 10 copies for the price of 2. And one other video we're offering a special on that ends next Monday. You can do your Christmas shopping early, folks, and wake people up. Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. 15 years of my research on Top Secret USA. This came out, of course, a few months before that article. Admits I estimate over 1 million private spies, the FEMA camps, the executive orders, the entire grid. I'm going to say it, not to brag, but just so you know, no one outside of government has re-engineered and reverse-engineered this like I have. This is the area where I am the preeminent expert. It's covered in this film. You want to understand the secret infrastructure for total enslavement? Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. This is my main specialty. Let me tell you, 15 years of in-depth research in this film. Invisible Empire, A New World Order, Defined. Jason Burmas, The History of the Globalists, their master plan, in their own words, Destroying Economies by Design. Get 1 copy, get 3 free. Get 2 copies, get 8 free. Infowars.com. All those specials in next Monday, ladies and gentlemen. You can also call toll-free 888-253-3139 or write to me at P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. And there's the T-shirts, the ball caps, all of it. You wear a anti-New World Order, Don't Tread on Me shirt, you'll meet like-minded people, or you'll strike up conversations. And we've got free deals on T-shirts, other films that are free. When you buy one, get another film of your choice free. All at Infowars.com. You can also download all my films and many other documentaries like Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic, Camp FEMA, the latest one, United We Fall, dealing with the North American Union. Incredibly good film. The filmmakers approached us and said, you can put it on prisonplanet.tv. It just went up today, or actually last night. prisonplanet.tv, 15 cents a day, $5.95 a month. We couldn't do any of this without you, and we are making history in a last-ditch effort to alert the planet to this tyranny. And so I want to thank you all for being part of supporting this operation and spreading the word. Okay. We go now to Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, and Dr. Paul Craig Roberts was the head of policy, #2 at the Treasury, the father of Reaganomics, Wall Street Journal editor, many-time best-selling author, syndicated columnist, and his latest book is How the Economy Was Lost, The War of the Worlds. In his editorial that we posted, we have a link at the bottom where you can go over and get the book at Amazon.com. But I'm very excited that Drudge would post an article critical of the neocons in Israel. This is a big deal, and Drudge reads all these before he posts them. We commend his courage, but, I mean, you know, it's the hawks, it's the military-industrial complex, it's Israel and others who want this, and Obama wants it for a political distraction, an attack on Iran. We just had a former high-level CIA analyst on earlier breaking all of that down. But we go now to Dr. Paul Craig Roberts to talk about his story, The Ecstasy of Empire. Good to have you, Doc.
Thanks, Alex.
I mean, let's go over it. This is exciting to see that I mean, your articles would get international attention in the Wall Street Journal, but now, since you're just going with you know, the info war, they're getting even more attention.
That seems to be the case.
Well, break it down, sir. I mean, this article, is frightening in its reality, and how you link to all the data to back up what you're saying. Encapsulate what your story covers, and then let's expand where you leave off, saying, if we don't have a revolution, we're history.
Well, Alex, what the article does is to sort of bring together many of the messages I've been making, partly over your show over the years, that the economy has been destroyed by the offshoring of the middle-class jobs. And so this has produced, I think, since 2007, a loss of approximately 10 to 11 million jobs. Now, those jobs simply aren't here, so their stimulus programs can't put people back to work in jobs that have been moved offshore. The reason the jobs are moved offshore is it increases the profits of the firms in the short run. It makes money for Wall Street. It makes money for shareholders, and the executives can pay themselves huge bonuses. So they've sold out the American economy and, of course, their own workforces, their own communities, in order to enrich themselves. So here you see the small oligarchy fouling its own nest, because the intermediate run consequence, beyond the short run, the consequence is to destroy the domestic consumer market and also destroy their own power base. So we have an economy that's deserted by the elite in business and in the government. And of course, as you well know, the so-called mainstream media is part of their control apparatus. So what I concluded is that unless there is a revolution and these very small private interests that control the country are destroyed, that America is destroyed, because the basis for the country has been taken away from it. Now, I don't know what kind of revolution it would be. You know, sometimes revolutions are organized, but I think most often they just happen. You know, people get, it's like Gerald Celente says, when people have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And so oftentimes revolutions just happen, and it's never clear who will take them over. We think of the Bolshevik Revolution, but actually the February Revolution, which displaced the Tsar, was not led by the Bolsheviks. Their revolution occurred several months later. They simply took advantage of the chaos to seize power. So none of that is predictable. We can't say who will end up with it. But we do know that the people who rule the country now do not rule it in anyone's interest but their own very narrow interest. And the rest of the country is suffering tremendously. I mean, look at the food stamps. We now have a record number of Americans on food stamps. It's an extraordinary number of people. And so what did Congress do recently? They cut food stamps. These types of policies themselves produce revolutions. And when you have a record number of people on food stamps, when you have predictions that the number is going to climb, and then Congress cuts it, that's like saying, oh, how can the government help to undermine itself and cause a revolution.
Well, that's a let them eat cake statement.
That's a let them eat cake statement. And there's so many of those statements. There's so many of the let them eat cake statements. And I think that's, we'll see the same thing with the unemployment benefits. They're now, they've been extended and extended and extended, which you would expect, and now they're running out. And yet the unemployment rate, the number of unemployed people continue to rise. So there's so many let them eat cake statements that I think that the result has to be a revolution.
Well, Doctor, going over this, we also see the establishment involved in a race to the bottom. Now that they do realize that the debt is mathematically impossible to pay back, they are accelerating their looting. They're accelerating their cutthroat strip mining of society. They kind of have a nihilistic, party attitude of eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. I mean, I'm seeing that not just in the truly wealthy or the controllers, but I'm seeing it in yuppies and people, who are not making $200,000 a year now. They're making $100,000, but they seem to be getting even more crazy. And so, this does look like Rome in its declining years.
Yes, it is. Except Rome's decline took a century or two, and I think ours will be much more rapid. Rather than for me to try to speculate, let me just point out how the economic information that's released, for example, the information released today, how it deceives us. For example, Alex, they reported that we've had an increase in housing starts in July. Well, the way they got this increase in housing starts in July is that there was a massive downward revision of the housing starts that they proclaimed in June. So they said more housing starts had occurred in June than did. So this month, the revision in the June number downward then produces an increase in the July number. Do you see what I'm saying? If they had not altered the June number, then this month we would have had a decline in housing starts. Now, they do that every month. They give you good news, and then the next month they secretly take it away. They downward revise it, and that then produces another month.
But what's happening now is, and I want you to speak to this, please, sir, is reality is colliding with their Alice in Wonderland false reality. And so the system is losing all credibility. And I do see forms of peaceful revolution taking place. Take Arizona. Without any concerted, organized effort in the last 2 years, CNET News, the Arizona Republic, and others report that over 96% of people refused to pay them or even show up, and the system tried to threaten them and make examples, but finally gave in and pulled all the cameras out. So, that right there is an example of just noncompliance.
Yes, I suspect that noncompliance will rise. As people lose resources, they lose the ability to comply, and they also lose their confidence in the government. And therefore they lose their willingness to comply. So when you don't have the ability or the willingness, then compliance has to fall.